Lake Khiluk, or the Spotted Lake, as it is also called, is located in Canada, British Columbia, Okanagan Valley. In the winter and in the spring, this lake hardly turns heads, and looks just like every other lake. But just wait until summer, and the water begins to evaporate. When that happens, you find scores and scores of briny pools in green, yellow, and blue, dotting the entire landscape, and it's literally one of the most magical places you'd ever see. It's no surprise that many people call it the most magical place in Canada, and others call it the most alien-looking lake on Earth. So, what's the reason for the stunning colors of the Spotted Lake? Well, the lake is blessed with high concentrations of all kinds of minerals. There are dense accumulations of magnesium sulfates and of sodium sulfates. High concentrations of about 8 other minerals are also found in this lake, as well as small amounts of titanium and silver. Like we mentioned earlier, the summer brings with it the sun in all its glory, which causes the water in the lake to evaporate, revealing the beautiful mineral deposits that have attracted people from all over the world to this lake for years now. Now, the color of the spots left behind after evaporation typically depends on the mineral composition of the spot, as well as the amount of precipitation experienced that season. Magnesium sulfate, when it crystallizes in the summer, forms a major contributor to the colors found at the Spotted Lake. The other minerals, when they harden, form natural walkways connecting these spots to one another. And now for a bit of history. The Spotted Lake might just be a tourist attraction for us. But for the people of the Okanagan Nation, Lake Khiluk is a sacred site, and has been one for centuries now. The people of Okanagan believe that each of the different spotted circles in this lake has its own healing and medicinal powers, hence the alternative name Medicine Lake. It was the First Nations of the Okanagan Valley who named the lake Khiluk. The people of the Okanagan tribe have lived around Lake Khiluk for a very long time, over 3,000 years to be precise. Through these centuries, the Okanagan tribe formed a new way of life and a unique culture that helped them live well and adapt to the climate in which they live. Currently, there are many Okanagan natives who live near the Nicola Valley. They continue to use the waters from this lake to treat various bodily ailments, like body aches, warts, and all kinds of skin diseases. According to the Okanagans, there are 365 spots on the lake. So, basically, one pool for every day of the year. Scientists, on the other hand, say there are 400 of them. Twice every year, the people of the Okanagan tribe gather to conduct special healing ceremonies. They invite people to celebrate with singing and dancing, and then proceed to help cure their illnesses. During the ceremony, the people make offerings to the lake. It is believed that this offering would move the ancestors to continue to bless the people with the healing powers of the lake. According to the Okanagan people, certain creatures like a bear, a snake, deer, or the golden eagle might be spotted during the festivities. When any of these animals is spotted, the Okanagan natives believe that the gods have visited you, and have come to take care of you through your healing process. In 1979, the elders and chiefs of Okanagan came together to write a document they called the Statement of the Okanagan Tribal Chiefs on Spotted Lake. This document exposes the beliefs of the people of the First Nations of Okanagan, and a part of it reads, "The medicinal powers are not to be taken lightly, its powers are above the purely physical. It contains 365 circles in various shapes, sizes, and depths. Each particular day of the year. Anyone who goes to this lake will find the right circle if he seeks." The people of the Okanagan tribe are deeply spiritual people. They also have an intense bond with Mother Nature, and out of this bond with Mother Earth outflows their deep respect for the lake. Bob Etienne is the facility manager and interpretive guide at Inkamip Center. He also serves as a holy man of the Osoyoos Indian band, and helps to perform healing rituals at Spotted Lake. Bob also helps to carry out other spiritual functions, such as praying, and performing smudging ceremonies for people who are to become elders, or for people who want to get married. When he takes people to the lake, each person has to make an offering to the sacred lake. It can be tobacco or sage, but sometimes, pennies are also offered. According to Bob, the lake recognizes copper. So, when you offer pennies, the lake accepts them and understands that you're not a threat. When people started to mine the lake for minerals to make ammunition back in the 1900s, the people of Okanagan were upset, as they considered it a violation of the lake's sacredness. When the natives found out about it, they gathered round their lake in a peaceful protest. Bob explains it this way: "We gathered enough people to totally encompass the lake. So, just by holding hands, we stopped that action without violence. So, as a result, the federal and provincial governments, and all of the Indian bands up and down the valley, got together, and through cooperation, we, the Sioux people, got our land back." Because of how highly the Okanagan people revere this lake, they forbid people from soaking or bathing in the lake. So, if you ever visit the Spotted Lake, keep in mind that you won't be able to swim in the pools. Besides the fact that it is prohibited, there's a fence to protect the lake, and there's also security around to ensure that no one breaks the rules. It's a heavily guarded site, and trespassing is not allowed. As we mentioned earlier, people used to go to Lake Khiluk to get minerals, which they used to manufacture ammunition. During World War II, laborers would go to work at the lake, mining the minerals, oftentimes as much as 1 ton of salt every workday. And according to the British Columbia Visitor Center, this mining activity is part of the reason the lake isn't as brilliantly colored as it used to be. Apparently, before people started to mine minerals from the lake, Lake Khiluk displayed even more beautiful colors. Now, Lake Khiluk belongs to the First Nations of the Okanagan Valley. The land surrounding the lake has a more complicated history. Initially, it was owned by the Ernest Smith family for a period of about 40 years. But regardless of who owned the lake, the First Nations still were very protective of the lake. In fact, at some point in 1979, the Smiths decided to build a spa at the lake, but the people of the First Nations stood up against the plan by attempting to buy the lake from them, so they could keep the lake a sacred site. The Smiths didn't agree at first, but after some back and forth, in October 2001, the Smiths and the people of the Okanagan Valley finally entered into a deal. The First Nations bought about 22 hectares of the land from the Smiths for the sum of $720,000. Actually, the First Nations contributed 20% of the money, that is $150,000, while the Indian Affairs Department contributed the remaining part of the money. Right now, there's a fence surrounding the lake to keep people from reaching the shore coming in from the highway. You can, however, still see the lake while driving on the highway in your car. You could even stop on the roadside, if you want to get a longer look at the waters. The Spotted Lake has fascinated curious people for a very long time now. It's basically a drainage basin, and does not have any outflow. It is kidney-shaped, and stretches for about half a mile in length, and about 5 football fields in width. Quite huge. Because of the high concentration of salt in this lake, not much wildlife calls it home. In fact, it is considered by many to be the terrestrial analog for the ancient Martian lakes. And this might not be far-fetched considering the discoveries made from a certain study. A PhD candidate, who studied the mineral composition of the Spotted Lake, found that it bore certain similarities to the Columbus crater found on Mars. Really weird, right? He also found out that each of the about 400 pools on the lake have a kind of bathtub ring texture to them. These bathtub rings are spots on the briny pools, where the minerals precipitate. And if you dig under this salt crust, you would be offended by the rotten egg smell, released as a result of the high sulfur content buried underneath that thick, black mud. But even though the conditions are really harsh in these pools, there is still some life there, such as algae. There are several ways you can get to this beautiful natural wonder. It is located at a distance of about 4.5 hours from Vancouver. There's no provision for public transportation, but you can join a tour group beforehand. And if you really want to get there in class, there's always the option of using a helicopter, for a reasonable price. While you're there, don't forget to take many cool photos of the breathtaking view. By the way, the best time to see the beautiful lake is in July. The colors really pop then. Alright, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you did, and we'll catch you in the next one.